Hi, I'm Ellie and welcome to this MuseHub tutorial. In this video, we're going to produce a podcast from start to finish. First, we'll write some intro music in MuseScore using the new Muse Sounds playback libraries. We'll then assemble the podcast in Audacity before finally uploading the podcast to audio.com to share it with the world. It starts with MuseHub. I'm on a Mac, so after downloading the hub, I'll drag it into my applications folder to install and run it from there. From then on, I can access it whenever I need by clicking the little hub icon in my system bar. I'm going to start with writing a light classical opening and closing theme for our MuseHub podcast. I'll need strings, woodwinds, keys, and percussion. I'll also grab the handy master plugin from the effects section, and of course, I'll need MuseScore and Audacity as well. Now they've all downloaded, we can begin composing. It's going to be a really short theme, something like 15 seconds. In MuseScore, I'll create a new score and add a string quartet. That's 2 violins, a viola, and a cello. From the mixer, I can assign the sounds I want from the Muse Sounds lists. In future, I'd like to automatically use Muse Sounds wherever possible, so I'll choose the Playback Preferences option from the View menu and select Muse Sounds. I'll switch my view to the continuous horizontal view, then go into Preferences and turn off the preview sound as I'm playing notes in. Let's start with a rhythmic motor to give it some forward motion and a feeling of anticipation. I'll select the first bar of the violas, press N to enable note entry, then 3 to select a semiquaver duration. Using my MIDI keyboard, I can simply play in my note sequence for that bar. I'll press N again to exit note entry mode, select the bar and press R to repeat it to 4 bars. Select them and press Shift S to make them more staccato. Now I'll copy this up to the violins too. I'm going to move this pattern up diatonically. I'll hold Option Shift and then use the arrow up key to move this selection up to start on a C. I'll delete the first bar to stagger the entry of this harmony. I'll do that again for violins 1. Move the notes up and stagger the start. Now I want to shift in tonality to an E flat, which will then resolve back to the C to give that small bit of tension and release. So I'll enter note input again and fill in the note sequences for these notes, starting with the semiquavers, then moving down the staves to get the effect I want. Whilst there won't be a traditional melody in this piece, there'll be some melodic lines, starting with the cello. I'll fill mine in here using the same technique as I used previously, entering note entry mode with the M key and filling in the durations using my computer keyboard, and note pitches using my MIDI keyboard. I think a few more instruments would finish this up nicely, so I'll press I to bring up the instrument chooser, and I'll add a flute, oboe, clarinet, and bassoon, a piano, celesta, timpani, and some metal chimes. You'll see MuseScore has assigned some of the instruments for me, but I actually want the piano to be a hybrid electric acoustic piano, so I'll select the Dream Piano from the list. I'll fill in the rest of this composition, and we can listen through to it once we're finished. It sounds good already, but we could add some dynamics to make it more exciting. Let's make it build to a crescendo at the end. Notice how smooth that dynamic changes. It just gradually increases in intensity without any jumps. I'll flip back to page view, set the page size to A3. Everything looks great. To finalise the mix, I'll add the master, which I got from the hub earlier. This adds a nice bit of clarity and loudness. I'm happy with this, so I'll export this as a WAV at 48K and our podcast theme is done. For this podcast, my guest is Muse Group product owner and head of design for MuseScore and Audacity, Martin Keary. I had a chat with Martin on Zoom earlier and made sure that the meeting was recorded and that I had checked the option to record each participant to a separate audio track in the Zoom preferences. This gives me 2 audio tracks which I can drag into Audacity and use as a starting point to build my podcast. In Audacity, I'll make sure my project rate is 48K and drag the 2 audio files from the Zoom recordings folder into the Audacity window. I'm going to also drag our theme music in. I'll name the tracks, choose the multi-tool and arrange the clips to start at the right points in time. I'll normalize these clips by selecting everything and choosing the normalize effect from the effects menu and start editing. I'm going to enable sync lock tracks so that everything stays in sync as I make the first round of edits and go through and delete any long pauses, gaps or other mistakes. If I want to erase something from just one track, I'll turn off sync lock and use the multi-tool to silence a part of the clip. Now that I've finished editing the interview tracks, I'll add some finishing touches to my mix. I'll get a few more of the useful MuseFX Studio plugins from the Hub and rescan the plugin list in Audacity. Now I can easily add some compression to the dialogue tracks to smooth out any volume peaks. Finally, I'll search the Hub for a sound effect I can use to transition between the different chapters of the podcast. I like this whoosh effect, so I'll favourite it, drag it into Audacity and place it where I'd like them to go. I'll also add a bit of MuseFX reverb to that track to make those sound effects ring out a bit longer. Okay, that completes the audio editing for the podcast. Now it's time to share it with the world on audio.com. I'll click the Share Audio button in Audacity, which will upload my project directly to audio.com. From here, I can sign up for a free account, or just close this window and click the Share button to get a link that I can send to my friends or publish on the web. You can listen to the finished podcast on the inspiration page on MuseHub. Thanks so much for watching.